Well, hey guys, welcome back to the review channel. As you can see, well actually I had this pretty well cleaned up, and I was ready to start digging holes for the chicken house, but forgot about that big pine laying there that was actually standing yesterday, and we were going to cut that down to cut up some boards for my neighbor who's going to extend his porch. And we thought that it might make some good lumber because it was dead anyway, but I think that it's been standing so long that when it fell, the top actually busted. You can see this wood over here. It's a little bit difficult to bust up because it's kind of doty, you know. So I called him a while ago and I told him that I really didn't think that it would make good boards for, especially to walk on. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is just go ahead and cutting it up, busting it up, and burning it for firewood outside, you know, and campfires and things like that, because you don't want to burn it in your stove because it will create creosote on the inside of the pipe, and it gets a huge buildup really quick, and you could stand a chance on catching your chimney on fire. So I don't ever really burn pine on the inside of the cabin, just mainly hardwood. Now I might use a little bit of the kindling to get it going because it does have the sap in it, the rosin. So yeah, it does start the fire really well, and then it will hold long enough to get the hardwoods going. But anyway, so what I'm doing now is I got all this cut up and kind of stacked up to be able to bring the tractor up and, you know, just load it up and move it. But what I'm going to do is start digging holes for the chicken house. I'm going to start that project. What I am doing is I'm finishing burning all of this trash right here. Like I said, I'm going to get I've got the post hole digger up here. I'm going to punch some holes, and I'm going to find some logs. I'm going to skin those, and we're going to get started on building this chicken house. Now, one thing I do want to mention, my son and I, we were talking earlier about the recent storm that they had in Texas and the low temperatures, and you know, people without power. Some people died, you know, which is very sad. A lot of people didn't know what to do as far as driving because they'd never driven in ice and stuff like that down there. So there was a lot of wrecks that were happening. A lot of the homes, you know, the water froze and busted the pipes, and now they're having battles with insurance companies down there trying to get things settled and so forth. And it even happened in his home there. So you know, it's always a good idea to have some sort of a backup system. Now, I'm going to be heating with wood as long as I can, but I'm also going to have a propane system. I'll probably have a 500-gallon tank up here because I do intend to have the propane hot water heater. I'll have a propane gas grill top in there, because the propane is something that we will always have as long as the tank is full. I won't have to rely on any power, you know, for that. But you know, in the event that I couldn't get out and cut wood, or for whatever reason, you know, we got stranded and not being able to, like I say, use the wood, we could use propane. You know, you can get ventless logs. I remember years ago, a lot of the people had those freestanding kerosene heaters that really didn't put off an odor, and they would use those to heat their house by. And you know, a lot of times they may have one or two or even three of those in their home. A lot of people used to burn coal, you know. All I'm trying to say is that, you know, if the people, and then that was a freak thing, but, you know, sometimes life throws you a curveball, and you need to have some sort of different system to be able to rely on. Now, I talked before about how much the power company was going to charge to bring power up here, and I'm thinking about doing solar. And I'm trying to design the house, you know, with LED lights and things that won't really use a whole lot of power, so that I don't have to have a whole lot of solar. But being able to use propane for the refrigerator and for the hot water heater and for the stove, you know, will do away with a lot of need for electrical power, and using LED lights will eliminate, you know, a lot of usage for, you know, power consumption as opposed to standard lighting. I need a place to, you know, plug my computer in so that I can edit videos and charge my batteries and things like that. And then a few other things, you know, like a hair dryer, which does use quite a bit, but, you know, trying to design the home where there's less usage, you know, as possible. That's what I'm trying to do, so that it cuts down the amount of solar panels that I have to have. But I will be able to have different systems that will function and operate, and hopefully, you know, allow me to be able to be self-reliant and not have to have the need for, you know, outside sources on a regular basis. You know, I'll have to fill the tank probably once a year, maybe even twice a year, but, you know, that's not a big deal. The cabin I built before, I had a 1,000-gallon tank. Of course, it was a much larger home that I had to heat and had to power and so forth. You know, of course, that one was actually on the grid. But anyway, we were talking about how, you know, the people were just totally unprepared. So if you're in that situation where you don't have any backup, you might want to think about that. That's one of the reasons that I got those lanterns, those tornado lanterns, so, you know, we would be able to have lights. I can remember a snowstorm. It was about 2 feet deep, almost 30 years ago, and we were stranded without power in that other cabin for 7 days. The National Guard finally came out on the 3rd day and started cutting trees because nobody could go anywhere. Trees had fallen across the road, and I mean hundreds of trees. And a lot of them were those yellow pines that I've been talking about so much, that, you know, on the side of the road, got top heavy, fell over, uprooted, cracked, broke, you know, whatever, but it stopped people from being able to go anywhere. Anyway, they came through and they cut their way through, which allowed people who had four-wheel drives the ability to actually get out. I can remember, I think I've mentioned this before, taking the tractor and driving the tractor to the store because, you know, the rear tires could actually grip. But I got to a section on the road down there where the snow came up underneath the transmission portion of the tractor, and actually, pushing through it, it got up high enough where the tires weren't touching the ground really well, and I couldn't go anywhere. So I had to dig it out from underneath, and then I had to clear a path. It was about 50 to 75 feet long, where it's kind of like a big drift, so I could get through there and keep on going. But I went to just get bread and milk. We actually went to the bathroom in a 5-gallon bucket with a trash liner in it and just tied it up, you know, because the well was froze. We went and got snow, melted that for coffee. Tell you what, if you've ever made coffee out of snow, it doesn't really taste too good, but, you know, we did what we had to do in order to survive. Thank goodness I had a wood stove like that there at the time, and we were able to cook on it and heat with it as well. And you know, we never went without a hot meal, but we were basically shut in for about 7 days. So I think about those things now as I'm building this homestead and trying to take all that into consideration and look at different systems and avenues that I can do to be able to provide for myself and my kids in the event, you know, especially Jennifer, since she lives here, to be able to provide for them if something was to happen, because she does live in town. So anyway, I just thought it might be important to mention, you know, if you guys are living in the city, you might want to think about some kind of alternative backup system in case something was to happen. They never thought that that would happen down there, but it did. He was explaining to me where the generators, they didn't work because they said it was too cold to turn, I think it was like 19 degrees. They said it was too cold to turn the generators on, and they were diesel generators. So, you know, even though they have wind power down there, because they have a lot of windmills and they have natural gas and things like that, the system failed. It didn't work, and therefore a lot of people are suffering now because of homes that have water damage in them because of cracked and busted lines, and insurance companies, you know, not wanting to pay, and first one thing or another. So you know, like I say, it may pay you to think about some sort of alternative where in the event something did happen that you would be able to maintain and keep moving forward. Well, I lost the end of that video, so I'm having to record it again, but I am almost ready to start milling up some of those logs in the front to start the foundation. I am going to let this dry a little bit before I pack that dirt back in there. I've decided I'm not going to cement it because it will probably outlast me. Anyway, like I said, I'm just about ready to start. I'm going to put a couple of beams this way, and then I'm going to cut some joists to go this way, and then we will start with our floor. And once we get that on there, we'll go up with the sides, and I'm going to, like I said before, I'm going to design it kind of like I did that little hobbit house. I'm going to use a lot of the slab wood that I've got and kind of make it as cute as we can. And then right in here, of course, will be the area for the chickens to come out in. I think what I'm going to use is cattle panels and offset them a little bit, kind of like this. That way most of the predators won't be able to get in there, and I'll probably sandwich, I've got a lot of chicken wire, I'll sandwich some of that in there. And then overhead, I'll probably just put a few poles and just use chicken wire on top, because most of them can't climb anyway. But like I said before, we've got a couple of feral hawks that live in this area, so we don't want them preying on the chickens, or little chicks if we have any. I've put out on all of the videos this week about our new schedule. Starting next week, we're going to have an Outpost video on Monday and Friday, then we're going to have a review video on Wednesday. Changing the schedule, we think it's going to be best for the channel, better for you guys, because we want you to see more production. The daylight hours are getting longer. I'm going to be able to do a whole lot more, so when I turn the videos out, you will see a whole lot more production, and it should make it more entertaining to watch instead of a lot of repetitious things. That sighting, you know, that was a long time going, and I kind of felt bad about showing the same thing over and over and over, but you know, that's what I was doing. So like I say, going back to doing it on Monday and Friday, and then doing a review channel on a review video on Wednesday. That'll give me a whole lot more time to produce things, and also it'll give me a whole week to put in review. So we think that it's going to be better for you guys, better for the channel, and it's going to help us out too, because I won't spend every night editing videos after I've been filming. Anyway, we know that you guys understand, but we're really appreciative of each and every one of you. We thank you from our heart, you know, for all the support that you have given us, and we just want to, you know, bring you the best, and that's one of the reasons that we talked all this over and thought that it might be better to do that. And you know, so we've got a lot of changes that are not only happening here at the Outpost, but you know, personally in life and things like that. So, but anyway, I'm excited to get started on this right here, a new project. And the house, the cabin, the next thing I'm going to be doing is drilling holes and pulling wire, running some pipe so that I can start some insulation going up in the walls, and then of course after that closing the walls in, and then start working on the ceiling. And so it shouldn't take an awful long time. I think my son's supposed to be here in a couple of 3 or 4 weeks maybe. And then some of the help that we've been getting from some of the other folks, it shouldn't take long, and we will probably be moved in there by late summer, early fall. And that's the way I kind of had it planned anyway. We do get some questions, you know, why don't you finish that? Well, I don't really see it's a priority for me. Since I have a home, I'm just taking my time about putting it together, trying not to get burned out on it. Also, you know, you have things, sometimes priorities change. It's planting season. working on the siding, you know, I got a little bit strung out. Took me a little bit longer than I expected to, and planting season is coming on, so I have got to get that area ready if I'm going to rely on some of the food, you know, that I'm producing myself, because I've got to get those plants in the ground, and I'm just about ready to do that. So I got to get the deer fencing up and get the posts set, and when I do that, then everything should be set to go. Animals won't be able to get in there, and I can start planting. But everything is coming along the way that you know, we're happy with it, and we hope that you guys are enjoying following the process. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the video here. Hope that you guys have a great afternoon. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you back up here at the cabin again next time.